Hello, my name is Adaminator, and I'm here with the ReTee podcast. Woo! I'm here with Marcus, who,
Hello.
Yeah, cool. And much like last time, we have a special guest. We have KHGuides with us. Say hello.
Hey y'all, thanks for having me.
This is just a regular podcast that we do between episodes, where we talk about Kingdom Hearts and other things, I guess, but we've decided to bring a willing victim along with us.
Happy episode 9.
Yeah, episode 9.
Oh, nice.
Also, actually, it's our first recorded episode since we hit 100 subscribers. So,
All right, congrats.
yeah, we're not doing a subscriber special. We'll just say, hey, we hit 100.
Oh, nope, it's
Cool.
been redacted.
Have you
We
just
lost one. No, it wasn't me. I swear to God, I'm subscribed. We're back down to 99.
Oh, I'm actually gonna hate it if we actually do drop before this episode goes out. Anyway, we'll start with our usual thing when we have a new person on. Mr. KH Guides, or we'll just call you Guides from now on. Can you tell us what your experience is with the Kingdom Hearts series?
Sure. I'm nearly a day one fan. I got Kingdom Hearts as a gift from my parents for Christmas that year, and
Right.
I've definitely been a fan ever since. I'd say my relationship to the series has been there for as long as the series has been around.
I can imagine,
Yeah. It's not been off and on for me. It's usually just been nonstop Kingdom Hearts, and other games too, of course. I would say that my journey with the series kind of led to an interesting moment in 2005. I think this was right before the release of 2, where I had this idea in my head. This was not quite dawn of the internet, but there were at least tools out there to make your own websites at this point. And I had this thought in my brain at the time that I would make a fan site. I was just like, oh, I love Kingdom Hearts. I'll just make a cool fan site talking about the game, whatnot. Not really anything focused, just me, gushing over Kingdom Hearts. And it was just a personal project. I don't even think I made it public for years, but at a certain point, I realized I had a passion for technical writing and, image design and whatnot. And then I got to thinking, what if I made a online resource that helps casual players through the games? And that's kind of how the actual site as it is now came to be.
So
it's been a project that's been off and on over the years. I've taken it a lot more seriously, I'd say, in the last 2 or 3. And yeah, it's been through a lot of versions since, but that's been a big source of inspiration for me, and just passion for the series is working on that site.
Yeah,
I could have used one of your guides a few years ago when I first fought Riku Ansem for the first time.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, no,
Could have used that years ago.
It's certainly one of the biggest sort of resources for the Kingdom Hearts series. I've used it a lot before, mostly for synthesis stuff, because that's just complicated.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so from the way you worded that, it sounded like the website didn't start off that way.
Not really. It just kind of started off as an idea of just enjoying the series, and then at some point I realized that I want to make a guide. I want to make a guide for the games, and I guess back then we only had 3 of the games in the States. We just had 1 Chain of Memories on the GBA, and 2 I think had recently released. And it started off as Kingdom Hearts Walkthrough.something.com, some subdomain of a free tool.
Right.
But then later on, when I started I guess learning on the internet how to create an actual website from scratch, I learned how to purchase a domain, protect it, upload your own files, all that good stuff. And that's how the domain turned into KH Guides, because KH are my initials and they're guides for Kingdom Hearts. So it worked out pretty well if I wanted to take it in some other direction. But that's how it came to be to what it is now.
I mean, you kind of have to be a Kingdom Hearts fan if your initials are KH.
I mean, they say Destiny's never left a chance, so I guess it worked out for the best.
It's sort of not quite. It's sort of in reverse of when parents name their kids after video game characters.
Yeah, it is kind of the opposite of that.
So there was a story that I've read a while ago. It's it was just like a Reddit post of this woman who was a teacher. She specifically taught like young kids, and she was like, "Oh my god, it's begun," and like a set of twins had come to her class, and their names were Sora and Riku. It's like,
oh yeah, I've definitely met community members, just in the Kingdom Hearts community online, who have kids, even grandkids in some cases, named after Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy characters. Yeah, we're definitely going to see a lot of Soras, Riku's, Kairi's, Xemnas's enter the workforce.
God.
At some point.
Oh Lord!
I can't imagine calling a kid Xemnas. Why would you do that?
I remember distinctly one time when I was at university, and I was in line at like Starbucks or something, and they asked for someone's name in front of me for their drink order, and they said Roxas, and I could see, I heard him say the name, so I kind of turned around and was like, wait, who? And then I saw the barista, like, their eyes just lit up because you could tell they were a Kingdom Hearts fan. They're like, no way, your name's Roxas? And he's like, nah, that's just the name I put on my drinks. So I thought that was so funny.
Oh no, I used to do a similar thing in college with Domino's Pizza. Like, we'd always try and get away with the weirdest names. And this one guy went on a massive campaign to try and get Domino's name stickers of all the different Harry Potter characters.
Wow.
I think he got to about 35 before he gave up.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So obviously, big Kingdom Hearts fan. Is there any particular game that you would consider your favorite?
Definitely the first one. Well, I say the first one. I mean the first one released, Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, I guess.
Right.
I have just so much nostalgia for it, and I still feel to this day that particular game has done some elements of the Kingdom Hearts series the best to date. Obviously, that's subjective opinion, but I really enjoyed the platforming, almost puzzle platforming in Kingdom Hearts 1. It's certainly a clunky game. The controls are wacky. The camera's one of the hardest bosses to fight in the game.
Yeah, of course.
But I don't know. I think it really captures the charm and the charm of Disney, and really the sense of adventure. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, a lot of why I love it is nostalgia, but I don't know. It laid the groundwork for the rest of this series, and I think had it not been as successful as it was, I mean, we likely wouldn't have any other of the games. I definitely have a special place in my heart, no pun intended, for Kingdom Hearts 1.
No, there was from the first game. I'm sad that they never used again was the bonus XP system.
Oh, you mean like technique points?
Yeah, technical points. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the idea of like, oh, if I block a particular attack, I'll get bonus XP. Like, take Selphie for example. When you fight Selphie, like every time you block her whip, like a skipping rope sort of thing, you get 1 technical point. But if you defeat Selphie, you still only get the 1 point. So you get more points by blocking the attack rather than going all out.
It's true. I hope they bring that mechanic back in future titles. Maybe Kingdom Hearts 4, because I think it incentivizes the player to approach combat differently and take more risks. It's the whole balancing risk and reward, where you could definitely like stay far away and spam whatever magic you want or drive forms or whatever it ends up being.
Yeah.
But I feel like technique points were a really great way to incentivize taking risks and playing in a different way than you normally would. For some type of bonus-like experience, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they do it in the more recent games, but things like the enemies that have an elemental type, that if you attack them with that type, they'll get health. At least in the first game. I don't know if they do it in the later games.
Oh, if like they absorb elemental magic.
Like if you have like the red... Oh, was it a red Nocturne?
Oh, like Red Nocturne?
Yeah. If you hit that, if you hit a red Nocturne with fire magic, it actually gains health, and you're like,
that's true. I can't think if 2 or 3 have a lot of those mechanics in there, but I 100% agree with you. Even if they don't bring back technique points or technical points or whatever it's called, I feel like leveraging other parts of your combat, like magic, for weaknesses is something that I'd love to be brought back, because there's a pretty deep system in Kingdom Hearts 1 for that, that a lot of people don't know about unless they, look at an in-depth guide or the Ultimania publications. And I wish that level of depth in that combat could come back. I get why they don't do it, because it's a lot of work, but that work really pays off for the player, because I think it's really cool.
Well, I guess, like, Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3 kind of do it in that, like, if you attack bosses in certain ways, they won't go into their desperation moves, but that's far too technical for the smaller player.
That's fair, yeah. Like, casual players won't necessarily stumble upon that unless they're intentionally experimenting, yeah.
Yeah, it does sort of feel like in the later games, it's like, people keep making the joke that, if you just spam X to win. It's kind of not wrong.
Yeah.
I wish it worked that way on Yozora.
Yeah, no, Yozora is its own beast, and I feel like that whole Remind DLC was just like, hey, this is what you can do in the mechanics. And you're like, okay, why didn't you do this with the main game? I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people who played Remind like really, really praise it for its depth of combat with the data battles and that guy who starts with the Y. I enjoy it too. It's certainly a different level of challenge, and I feel like perhaps casual players to Kingdom Hearts 2 can get through Kingdom Hearts 3 and really enjoy it without easy codes, pro codes, whatever, and then get to something like the Limit Cut episode and be like, you know?
Yeah.
I'd hate to have the game difficulty be a bar to prevent them from story, but there are accessibility options to say, I just want to see the cutscenes, which I appreciate.
Well, I actually remember going through Kingdom Hearts 3 and, like, I probably maybe died once or twice just due to, stupid planning on going into attacks, but, like, when I went into the Limit Cut DLC, like, the first enemy you fight, was it that Heartless that had no reason to be there or something like that? It was something like that. I just remember, like, dying to that. I'm like, oh, I just died to the first boss in this DLC. Huh. And, like, I remember every single one of those fights, I died at least once. Because they had just amped it up. It's like, oh, by the way, did you know you can guard in midair? It's like, oh, you didn't? Oh, yeah, because you couldn't do it in the previous games.
That's a good point. And I appreciate a game that I guess would challenge the player in kind of a healthy way. Like, I've always thought of something as, like, when it's a good challenge or a fun challenge, it doesn't mean that you win every time. You might have to change your way of thinking, or maybe the game gives you subtle hints as to, like, how to address a certain attack, which I know Kingdom Hearts 3 does to some degree on, like, the game over screens. But to have the ability to overcome a challenge without an intense amount of time or effort is really great. I think that's really healthy. But when it's something that's just ridiculously impossible in terms of design, that's when I feel like a lot of players just stop having fun, which I think is fair.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Marcus, do you have much to say on that? You're very quiet.
Yeah, I was just kind of thinking about what y'all said. I mean, it's true, like, about game mechanics and everything. Guys just mentioned that this one kind of hit deep. It's like, when they put that extra time for those little details in games, you have podcasts like this or channels like his, or there's a bunch of channels on YouTube that are still covering Kingdom Hearts 1 just because the game went that in-depth with details, not only to combat, but to the worlds.
Hey guys, did you know you could freeze the bubbles in Hollow Bastion?
What?
No kidding.
Oh my god.
No.
To be fair, that... I genuinely didn't know that when someone uploaded that video, I'm like, wait, really?
Yeah, it took me a few years to learn some of that stuff. It's so funny. Like, it's one of the reasons why I still love Kingdom Hearts 1 to this day, is that we're still finding new things about that game, even 20 years later. Yeah. Like, I want to say...
From 2002.
Yeah, from 2002. Like, honestly, Kingdom Hearts 1, as it released, was such a technical achievement for the PlayStation 2, and the level of depth in that game in detail, which I could go on for hours. I know we only have one. But, like, for example, a few months back, and this was actually with help from a couple of other content creators just corroborating information across multiple guides. But we found a treasure chest that like 99% of players miss in Wonderland, and it's missable. You can't go back and get it. And a lot of people assumed it was this one chest, but it's actually a series of 3. So we kind of,
what?
you know, yeah, it's wild. It's I mean, it's on the website. But it's not a special item. It's like a camping set or something. But the fact that we couldn't find it for years and years is pretty wild to me. And like you said, the freezing the bubbles in Hollow Bastion. I learned recently by reading the Japanese Ultimania publication that if you what are they called? Fat bandits, the big guys in Agrabah. If you defeat one while it's inhaling from the front, you have to defeat it from the front while it's inhaling to shoot his fire breath. It's like a 4% chance that it'll drop an elixir, and it's like the earliest time that you can have elixirs drop in the game. And no one really knew that because like it's such a narrow window of time that you would think to attack it from the front because like, it's usually invulnerable.
Breathing in, it's maybe 2.5 seconds, if that.
It's short, yeah, it's really short, and it was so funny. Like I just wanted to share it online. I think I don't remember if I put it on Twitter.
Very interesting detail.
I was like, look what I learned. It's so cool. I don't know. It's moments like that that make me love Kingdom Hearts 1 and just the series even more. It's just that the depth and detail allows us to learn things much later on, and it's like there's always a reason to come back and play Kingdom Hearts, which I just love that about the series.
I would say my biggest, since you guys went into Remind as well, Adam doesn't know this because it's actually just sparked within the last 72 hours. I would say right now my favorite character in Kingdom Hearts is Man Who Starts with a Y. But for no reason, we know literally nothing about him. But I just really like him, the boss fight, and everything. My biggest kind of tidbit, and this could be said more than just about him, but what kind of upsets me is, and this could be said about more games than just Kingdom Hearts, but I would like to call myself a very avid gamer, but I play so many different franchises, so it's not like I only stick to games that play or RPGs that play or feel like Kingdom Hearts, and I'm not a 100% completist where I have to beat the game taking no damage and not changing items. I'm not crazy like that. But it just kind of like rubs me the wrong way when you have boss fights that have story and lore behind them, and you have to essentially memorize the game. Like, I understand that it's supposed to be a super boss and it's important, but like it's like beating all the data. I beat all the data fights. I beat everything in Kingdom Hearts 2. It was fine. It was tough, but you had to learn their moves a little bit. But once you it wasn't that bad. Once you got the hang of it, it wasn't bad. You just had to learn how to properly dodge. But with like the KH3 data fights, you have to learn 13 completely different movesets, how to properly count them and plan that precise timing. And then to move on to Man Who Starts with a Y. I don't know if we're allowed to say his name or not, because you said that and I've been messed up ever since.
Yuzora?
Yeah. No, guides refer to him as man whose name starts with a Y. I was like, is there backstory? Do we not want to discuss him?
No. The only reason I do that is it's really just a habit of mine when I'm talking with others in the community in kind of a live setting. Is like if we have community members in Twitch chat or something who have not played through the entire series, but use the guides, I don't want to spoil it for them. So it's a weird habit of mine. Sorry.
Oh, I was sitting here like, are we not allowed to say?
No, this is a podcast. Okay. This is a podcast for fans of the series. Like, if you've not played the games, you might not want to watch this series, but we allow spoilers and things like that. We're not fussed as long as we're not spoiling each other.
The game's been out for 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's like Yozora is an amazing, well done boss fight, and it's really cool that they made him very difficult because it shows that he could be on a completely different level from Sora going into where we are next in the series, and obviously Kingdom Hearts world or series revolves more around magic. Well, maybe Yozora's seems to obviously come from more technology based.
Yeah.
So that could be the two conflicting and why Sora would struggle in such a way. But I wish that just for little crybabies like me, they would have made like Remind, like even on beginner mode, some of it's a struggle.
Yeah.
You get your butt kicked. So I kind of wish they would have made like a little crybaby mode. Just name it after me. That's fine. And just for like, sure, you could still get a bit of a tussle in there, but like cut beginner mode in half just for those people that are super casual. Like just give us a damage boost or like give us a defense boost. Like make it a little easier on us for those of us who just want to know the story.
Yeah.
Because then they're like, oh, well, you gotta earn everything. And I was like, I understand that we gotta earn it, but people are just going to get on and Google it or look it up on YouTube.
I think that's why the Yozora fight does have two endings that are basically the same ending.
I don't remember who it was. It might have been Yozora. I said Yozora. All right, I gotta go lay down. It might have been Nomura that said it. That the reason they put both scenes in there is they wanted a scene for both outcomes. Even though they're basically the same thing, they wanted something for both outcomes, just for those people who struggled to beat Yozora.
Which I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure Mr. Guides here has a comprehensive guide on how to beat the man who starts with Y.
Oh, do you?
It's funny. So I've only started taking the guide building stuff, back into my personal time in the last couple of years, and to my detriment, I probably spend too much time on the older stuff. So I actually don't have a complete guide for 3 yet, and it's because I don't know. I spend too much time, but it's on my plans. I'm hoping to wrap up Kingdom Hearts 1 by the end of the year, just the tutorial videos, and then move on to 2, which we started a few months ago, and then 3 after that. But
in your defense, Kingdom Hearts 1 is so good.
Yeah.
That of course, like you just take your time on it. You're like, I love everything about this game. Take my time with it.
It's true. I'm intentionally taking my time because I enjoy it so much. Yeah. But Marcus, to your point, I agree with the struggle of like wanting to know the story, but having it be behind an insanely difficult boss for casual players. And I know that the Osaka team implemented the easy codes, I think, with Remind. I think those came with Remind.
So the Easy and Pro codes were part of a free update. So they had a free update and the DLC both released on the same day. The DLC is just that after game stuff, whereas the free update gave you Oblivion and Oathkeeper.
Oh, but that's the craziest part. I'm gonna sit here and rant about Kingdom Hearts 3 for some reason. I have it on the Xbox, and every time I get on, it says new downloadable content cannot be accessed. But I can get on, I can play through the entire game 100% fine. I can play through Remind and the secret episode, all that stuff. I just cannot access Oathkeeper and Oblivion. And I earned Oathkeeper. Weird. So that when it pops up with that little error code, it just says that I can't get Oathkeeper, and I don't quite know why.
I don't think that's anything that neither me nor Guides can answer.
I just figured that was a little... I was just curious if you guys had seen that.
So anyway...
moving on.
No, I haven't seen it, sorry.
Guides, is it fair to say that you're more for the technical side of Kingdom Hearts over the story?
Maybe so. Maybe more so now than I was before. I would say I've really enjoyed the narrative journey of Kingdom Hearts for the most part. I think for me personally, things started getting kind of wild during Dream Drop Distance. I've always been kind of a stickler for time travel plot lines because they just, if you don't make it airtight or the like essential piece of your plot, then it kind of just opens up a can of worms. And I felt like Kingdom Hearts did that quite a bit. And maybe part of it is the localization. Maybe we're missing some crucial information in the not retranslation, but that's you guys. The translation of the of the source material from Japanese. I'm not quite sure, but the whole waypoints, portals, time travel. That I raised an eyebrow to it, and it's not that I disliked it entirely. I think it's just Kingdom Hearts is complex, and I don't mean that in necessarily a negative way, but it's become a lot more complex over, the more titles we add to the series, and I feel like unless you're studying it fairly closely, it can get pretty overwhelming to be like, wait, who's this character, and why are they here now versus X amount of years ago? So it gets kind of wild, and I can understand that being kind of a bar or like prohibitive for newcomers to be like, this reads like the Bible. I don't know if I can get through this entire thing and still enjoy it, which I think is fair.
That is fair, but I kind of like the way that you worded that, in that, like, in English, there's time travel. In the Japanese version, the time travel is subjective.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be perfectly fair. The Dream Drop Distance was the moment it was like, fuck it. Okay, sure, we're doing this. You have a good day. Like, I genuinely almost dropped the series because of that whole time travel thing, because I love movies like Back to the Future, and I do like the airtightness of the time travel used in the Harry Potter series, but with the Kingdom Hearts stuff, it's very much, slap it on, there's time travel. It's we actually
and maybe it's just the way they convey it to us. It's kind of hard to follow the concepts, or maybe the rules. And a fellow content creator and friend of mine named Po Retro actually put it very, very concise a couple of days ago while we were talking about it. He said that sometimes the writers for Kingdom Hearts perhaps over-explain things to the point where it makes it even more confusing. And most of the examples that he brought up are with Remind, just through the narrative journey of Remind as you're playing through the Keyblade Graveyard again, and being like the recusant sigil between Roxas, Axel, and Xion, and that they had to trace the connection.
That thing, like,
and I think a lot of fans were like, "Why? What? This was important? Why is this necessary?" And I think Fo put it really well, is that if you try, I think the more you dig in and try to get questions answered, the more questions pop up, which I think is just Nomura's writing style. I think it's fine, and it ensures that the series will never end, hopefully. But I don't know. I think it's kind of a Pandora's box situation, and I've learned that to not put too much stock into fully understanding exactly every little element of what's going on, and just focusing on the light versus darkness, friendship is power kind of nature of the game. But to your original question, Adam, I really do like the technical perspective of Kingdom Hearts, especially more so now that I've taken some time to study it over the years. But I like a lot of elements of Kingdom Hearts. I think the game design portion, I'm very passionate about, having not personally made a game or whatever. I'm still very passionate about it. I do have a passion for like UI design, and I always love games that, I don't know, have clarity in their design but also like fits the game aesthetic, and I feel like Kingdom Hearts does a really good job of that. But I enjoy the story. I just take it with a pretty sizable grain of salt, and then I enjoy the gameplay quite a bit.
I will actually say that the UI for, like, while the technical stuff for Kingdom Hearts 1 was really good, I did like the UI for Kingdom Hearts 2. For simply, like, the actual menu bar can be turned into the Kingdom Hearts 1 version, but if you keep it to Kingdom Hearts 2, they're all themed around the worlds, and you're like, oh, that's a cool detail. And then you have, like, moments where if you go into Naminé's room, and only Naminé's room, that menu is themed around Chain of Memories. And you're like, they didn't have to do that, mainly because when you're in that room, you're not using that menu. And
that's true. That's true. They spent all that time on that one room, and that's again, it's the beauty and the level of detail with that game. And I appreciate you mentioned that you can switch it back to Kingdom Hearts 1, because that's typically what I do. Not that I dislike the aesthetic of the command menu in every world, but for some reason, because I'm a sucker for Kingdom Hearts 1, I'm like, I like the nostalgia of the original HUD, so I just switch it back.
That's fair.
Facts.
No, I do like the themed menus, because it does feel like not only you're traveling to a new world, but like everything around you is also changing. Like it's that sort of feeling. It's like, okay, I am definitely in a new world. I'm definitely in the Land of Dragons because there's a little dragon on my menu.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think the UI was very, very well done in that game. And then Kingdom Hearts 3, there's nothing really stands out technically, apart from maybe like, oh, here is all of the features. You want to jump off the walls? You want to summon a roller coaster? You want to use Grand Magic at level 1? You're like, fuck it. Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
It was
I have a tiny little soapbox rant about Kingdom Hearts 3's options in combat. I felt like to Kingdom Hearts 2's credit, I think a lot of people enjoy it for its combat, and they're right. I feel like Kingdom Hearts 2 really captured a very fair balance in terms of the tools you have at your disposal versus how the enemies react to them. And Kingdom Hearts 3, at least in my experience, the attractions especially added too much gimmick to combat, and they're almost too easy to unlock. I wish they had like more specific context or limitations as to when you can access them, because yeah, you can summon a swinging ship and just destroy, mobs of Heartless, which, look, it's eye candy. I think those attractions are gorgeous, and I love the callbacks to like Disney parks rides and whatnot. And it really showed just aesthetically how beautiful Kingdom Hearts 3 could be, and it looked really cool in trailers.
Yeah.
But I think once we got into combat, it felt like there were almost too many options, as you said. Like you could summon a Disney character, you could use attractions, you could use Grand Magic, you can use a form change, and I think for a lot of casual players, they could just as easily get through Kingdom Hearts 3 using absolutely none of that. You could just bonk a bunch of Heartless with that Keyblade and keep on trucking. But and I don't know, maybe it's a double-edged sword. Like maybe for me it's too many options, but for those who like really want to dive into the combat and whatnot as a casual player, sounds good. Like you have so many options to have a bunch of fun. So I don't know, to be honest, it's hard for me to have like a really strong opinion about Kingdom Hearts 3 because I've really only played through it like 2 or 3 times. I'm a sucker for 1, and I do want to do more playthroughs of 3 once we get into the guide building portion again for that. But yeah, it's hard for me to feel super strongly about any particular piece of Kingdom Hearts 3 without giving it a lot more time to dig in and really learn it.
Well, hopefully it does look like Kingdom Hearts 4 is scaling back a lot of that, while also still introducing new things, like the keychain whip shot thing that looked quite interesting. But it does look like maybe we won't be seeing things like the attraction flow, or things like running up the wall is not going to be as easy to do as it was in Kingdom Hearts 3. I mean, Grand Magic was a lot of fun. It wasn't as obtrusive, so that's alright. I kind of hope that the Keyblade transformations don't happen again, at least for a little while. I feel like while they were a lot of fun, it did sort of... It did become a little bit repetitive, like, oh, I need to upgrade my weapon to become a drill now, and I'm like, okay then. So I do kind of hope that they scale back on things like that, but they amplify the actual Keyblade as a weapon. Like do more interesting things with that.
It'd be cool. And actually, you made me think of something. It's almost like if you're going to give us so many options in combat in Kingdom Hearts 3, I almost wish that there was an additional incentive to use them. Like, for example, in I think it's Birth by Sleep, you can unlock finisher commands for each character by using or just by meeting certain criteria. So I think there's like one finisher on Terra where if you have one finisher unlocked and then you keep using fire spells, or maybe it's like moving into a fire, what do they call it? Command style, like the fire command style. It'll unlock that finisher after X amount of attempts. And I felt like if they implemented something similar with form changes, where it incentivized players to use specific form changes that maybe they would overlook in a casual playthrough, maybe they unlock like a stat boost for just that form by using it in a certain way, like to defeat X amount of enemies with this form. I think that would be a really
sort
cool
of
mechanic.
like instead of getting new keychains, you sort of unlock like new styles, I guess.
Oh yeah.
So let's say Kingdom Hearts 4, we get Star Wars. I mean, a lot of people are wanting Star Wars, but maybe like starting at the beginning of the game, the only chain that you can go along is beating up enemies. You get Kingdom Hearts 3 abilities, and then you beat some more people up, and you'll get Kingdom Hearts 2 abilities on top of that, and then down to Kingdom Hearts 1 abilities at the end of that chain, and then you can do all the fancy stuff that you could do back then. But maybe like when you complete the Star Wars world, say, if you focus yourself onto thunder magic, let's say, you know, the weapon becomes the weapon actually changes into a lightsaber style weapon, and then you could do flashier, spinnier sort of attacks that sort of way.
That'd be pretty fun.
I would like that sort of thing where if you're going to keep the Keyblade transformations, it should just be the Keyblade. Because
keep it the Keyblade, but let it be like how it is when you get the keychain for the world.
Yeah.
For example, you go to Halloween Town, you get Decisive Pumpkin or Pumpkinhead,
it organically changes into that weapon because you're doing certain things.
Yeah, and depending on what's going on in that world, so say, let me think of some. We'll just use Frozen off the top of my head. So, because Frozen is more about ice magic and everything, or Arendelle is more about ice magic, it might not be straight ice, but when you start pulling off more combos while in Arendelle or using that chain, you're pulling off more the magic that the Keyblade is capable of. But then, if you go to, we'll just say that they have a planet Tatooine from Star Wars, where lightsaber combat is the most known thing, but then you also have the Force. You kind of have a little bit of a balance, but more towards swords. But then you have Pirates of the Caribbean, where it is all swords combat, so then you can see the pure strength in Keyblade as a sword instead of the flashy magic show. So it can kind of go back and forth depending on the world that you're in.
So like your fight style changes depending on the world?
Yeah.
But then,
so that kind of helps fit with the world you show it off. And then if you're in Quadratum, which, as I was mentioning earlier with Zora's whole thing about being very tech-based, what if then Sora got a little more tech-based? It showed that the Keyblade was capable of maybe not transforming into all these crazy things, kind of how you were saying you didn't really like the different Keyblade forms like that, but it could show the Keyblade could help create other laser abilities or duplicate itself and have like little jets on it, so you could kind of remote control a Keyblade flying around. Well, you're not actually controlling it, but it's just part of the quick combo.
Just the idea of like having a Keyblade drone.
That'd be whack. But you know what I mean? So it'd be kind of cool to, like, kind of like how you said, you get to keep the base Keyblade. You could probably still change what it looks like if you wanted to put on the different keychains, but it kind of changes with each world to fit in with that world. If it's more sword melee oriented, then you get to see the Keyblade show melee strength and swordsmanship. If it's more of a magic themed world, you get a flashier, more magic-based Keyblade.
I like that concept. That's pretty cool. And building on our previous, topic of incorporating more enemy weaknesses and strategic gameplay versus just hit it as hard as you can, where you could leverage like the like a magic-based Keyblade in a world where enemies are more susceptible to magic. I love that idea because there are some design portions in even in Kingdom Hearts 1. with like Atlantica. I know I hate to bring up Atlantica because so many folks hate it, but I think that while it's not it's not terribly forthcoming, there's a subtle suggestion that like, hey, you're swimming around this world, like close combat is not a really good option here. Use your long range magic spells. And I think casual players who, especially first time players, are like, I can't bonk anything anymore. Like, how am I supposed to do this? And the game doesn't necessarily overtly say, hey, dum-dum, use magic. So, I don't know. I think incorporating more, like, enemy weaknesses versus Keyblade forms or Keyblade styles, whatever it ends up being in the future, I'd love to see better balance there. Yeah. Like, KH1's balance with KH2 or KH3's aesthetic, I think, would be really cool.
Yeah, that was always my problem. I can't even lie to you guys. Aside from Cure, as a kid... unless if in KH1 there is a reason, for example, the fire door, or the little spark plugs coming out to activate the Gizmo shop in Traverse Town, and a few other places throughout the game, the only magic I ever used in KH1 was Cure, until I got older and realized, wow, magic is kind of great. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2, same thing that as Adam was saying, I spam the X button, and just cut my way through everything. Then you get older and you start playing through on the harder difficulties and challenging yourself a little more, and you're like, good God, why was I not using I sat here using all my magic on Cure. Why was I not using Reflect?
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like maybe, like you said, the game shouldn't hold your hand through it, but maybe it should kind of give you like this, like Donald, just slide in 1 or 2 lines of dialogue every now and then. Don't make it as obnoxious as, hey, look, a lucky emblem, or this might be a great place to find some ingredients. But say you're in a world or fighting certain enemies. For example, we'll just say a giant ice cube. I just pulled that out of my butt. And you're smacking the heck out of it, and you're only doing little chip damage. What if, like, Donald or maybe Kristoff in the background, if you're in Arendelle, might say, hey, I wonder if fire would do a little more. Just kind of slide that line in there, only if you yourself are only smacking it like crazy with your sword.
Yeah, I like that. Because it's built into the gameplay versus, like, something in the HUD saying, hey, FYI, like, if you have your character say it, it feels so much more immersive.
Yeah, it feels a bit more organic,
Exactly.
Let's move on a little bit. So, it's not just the website that you have, is it, guides? I mean, we actually started talking via your Twitch, which you do damn near every day. I started streaming on Twitch kind of around the same time I started taking the guide building more seriously, because I thought that Twitch would be a good opportunity to connect with the online Kingdom Hearts community and really help inspire me to continue working on the guides. And for a big extent it has. It's fair to say that there was one stream that I watched of yours where it's like, I'm going to record such and such, and you didn't record that bit, and you just spent the entire 2-3 hours just talking to the chat.
So it's been a long-running joke on the channel that on the Twitch channel that it's about 5% gameplay and 95% just chatting, and it turns out that way. We do a lot of just vibing, just chatting about Kingdom Hearts and maybe sometimes Disney in general. And I have this tendency to talk a lot, as you can tell. And so a lot of times I'm not a very good multitasker. So it's either I'm playing the game or I'm just chatting. And more often than not, we're doing a lot of just chatting. So that does kind of adjust the timeline for as quickly as I can get all the guide stuff done. I do work a lot of it off stream, but it's been fun. It's been really great, working with the community to build like a Kingdom Hearts community on Twitch with other creators, and just finding other people who enjoy the game as much as we do it's been really fulfilling for me personally. I grew up with not a lot of people in my life who like knew what Kingdom Hearts was or even enjoyed it. A lot of my like inner friend group growing up were not Kingdom Hearts fans. They didn't dislike it, they just never played it. So it was only until very recently that I've made so many friends just in the online communities who enjoyed the games and have similar things that they enjoy in their lives, which has been really great and really fulfilling. But Twitch has been Twitch being Twitch, Twitch has been rough, but I've been really thankful I've been really thankful to meet the people that meet the friends that I have had through Twitch and YouTube. It's been really, really cool. Like, guide building aside, it's been really fulfilling to meet and make so many friends.
I mean, to the point where, like, you have so many running jokes on your Twitch. Things like the duck roll and things like you do your Eminem lucky draw thing, which a lot of people love. And then one of my favourite ones, which I don't understand, is the Woody Woodpecker bird thing.
Oh, you mean the Araquan? Yeah. Yeah, he's a rare bird, and yeah, a lot of people like summoning the Araquan bird to stream, and yeah, he's a weird fella. He's a weird fella.
But it's not just you that does content on there. I mean, your lovely wife also streams videos, and you might like to think, oh, maybe she actually does all the recordings and actually plays the games. No, she's just as talkative as you.
It's funny that it worked out that way, because actually Mrs. Guides started streaming for Mrs. Guides Mondays fairly recently. We had a charity incentive. We did some fundraising back early summer for St. Jude, and one of our final incentives that our community helped meet was to have Mrs. Guides play Kingdom Hearts for the first time, and it's been quite a journey, because Mrs. Guides did not grow up playing games like I did. She had a real childhood, like real fulfilling, and read books and is very smart, unlike me.
Hold on.
Imagine having a real childhood. Oh,
I know.
Imagine being sociable. Oh.
It's been really fascinating though, because not having not nearly as diverse of a gaming background as I have, it's been really interesting to see her learn the game, and she's been doing very well, not having any experience with like platforming games or like real-time action games, anything like that. She never played them, so having gone through the game as far as she has, she's been doing very well. But you're right, it's also another just chatting stream. I guess we're just chatty people. It's just how it happens.
No, I'm actually the same. So I introduced the game to one of my friends who lives in Scotland, and she'd never played Kingdom Hearts before. She's played video games. Like we're both big fans of Overwatch, which was how we met, and I thought, fuck it, I'll get her to play some Kingdom Hearts. And like she only played for an hour, but the entire time she's like, oh no, I'm really bad at this, I'm really bad. She got to the end of Traverse Town. Like, that is really impressive for an hour of gameplay never having played before. You're like,
oh, absolutely.
Like, what? But yeah, so going back to like your running jokes, one in particular is, of course, your Donald Duck impression, which we would like to play with a little bit, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So, obviously, people who know our series know that we don't have a Donald Duck voice actor. Yeah, we don't have a Donald Duck. Who we have what is affectionately referred to as the Giga Duck.
Oh, I love the Giga Duck. The Giga Duck was fantastic.
But we thought,
I think that's why we love it so much. And that's why everybody loves it, because they're like, oh, they're gonna do something weird with a Donald Duck voice. But no, it's like, nope, full Giga Chad. We just went in.
Big shout out to Kosa. Like, it was my idea initially. It's like, fuck it, I can't find a Donald voice actor. Kosa, can you just do the Donald Duck lines? And he said, sure. And he just gave me the most stinted voice recording. It's like, oh, okay, we're doing this then. But
that was fantastic.
Just for the next 5 minutes, I want to live in a world where we found someone who can do the Donald Duck voice, and we are going to present you with some of the lines. So, Marcus, we have some lines in our DMs. Could you send them to Guides?
Of course.
Maybe one at a time, just so we get the full sense of the Donald Duck.
here is our first one. Do you want me to just DM it or just send it in a text only?
Just DM be fine. Actually, I would actually like to ask, how did you discover that you could do a damn good Donald Duck impression?
Oh, it was actually a long time ago as a kid. I must have been a very bored kid because I would just chill at home alone playing video games, and sometimes I would just like try character voices, and somehow I found I guess this weird pocket in my mouth where I could make the Donald voice and made it work. And yeah, it's just been a thing ever since. And I honestly, aside from the Twitch channel, I really don't bring it out very much because it's kind of a sudden thing to to put on someone. You just start talking like Donald. But
of course,
no, it's been fun.
Yeah, I can't imagine it's like difficult to. It's quite difficult to bring up and catch this. Oh, like Sarah, how's the husband and kids? It's like, oh great. Oh, by the way, I can do a Donald Duck impression.
Yeah, that doesn't come up in casual conversation, so usually it's not known unless they find the Twitch channel.
So, before you read any of our lines, do you want to give us a quick, like, hello?
Hello, everybody! It's Donald!
That is...
Wow.
So creepy, it's insane.
Hello! Thank you so much!
Am I gonna have to subtitle this? Oh shit!
I was gonna say that is the challenge with the Donald voice. Is like if you don't understand the context of like who Donald is talking to, or having actual subtitles on the screen, it's often very hard to understand like what Donald is saying. Like especially when I do it because it's like 80% quality impression. So yeah, it's tough.
I mean, going back to Kingdom Hearts 3 a second, like it was very brave of them to add a no subtitle option.
That's true.
It's like
that's true.
It's basically the "Do you want to understand Donald Duck?" button.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think Marcus has now sent you maybe one or two lines. Do you want to? I'll have them up on the screen, but do you want to read them out for us?
Sure, I'll give it a shot. Marcus has sent me one, so here we go.
One.
Hang on.
One person.
For anyone that doesn't know, that was the translation we got for One for All and All for One.
It's such a good line in the retranslated mod. It's so good. Oh, that one's good. That one's fantastic.
Do you want to give us that one?
Yep, I just sent it through.
Okay.
What do you know? Are you a big horse?
My God.
Are you a big horse? That's so good.
We don't. That was the Palooka line, and we don't know why Palooka changed the horse.
I don't know. Well, I mean, the Palooka line is already great as it is, but "Are you a big horse?" is just a chef's kiss. It's so good.
Like, I kind of just want that to follow up with, "No, I'm a big dog." Like,
yeah, there you go.
Dog.
Oh, I know where this one came from. Okay. This next line is like almost word for word except for the last one. That's pretty good. Okay.
Well, we need them to come with us to help us find the dog.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
Oh. It was quite an ominous line, but it's ominous when it's Gigaduck. It's kind of disturbing when it's Donald Duck.
It's true. Actually, it's hard to whisper as Donald because he's such a loud character. So really I'm always impressed with Tony Anselmo, how much range he has with even making that voice. Like it's got to be incredibly difficult.
I mean, that's probably why he gets paid so well. It's like Disney does not want to lose him.
Oh, definitely not.
No,
not this line. Okay, here we go. Teeth is actually kind of a hard word. Because it's two E's. Yeah.
I think
awesome.
The way he says it is with an F at the end, so teeth.
Yeah. The F is better. That's really funny. Yeah. Honestly, teeth is like such a good... It's such a good line for retranslated. I mean, lines, really, it's everywhere. It's so good.
It really is. Just because Sora, Donald, and Goofy are like, huh? Because they're just as confused as everyone else. So why not bring in some teeth? Because it makes just as much sense as anything else.
This one's good too. Okay.
Yeah! That's the best secret!
That is genuinely my favourite line that we ever did. Just because it was so out of left field. I'm done. I'm happy. Thank you so much for that, guides.
Absolutely. No, that was a blast.
We are approaching the end. Any other topics you want to talk about before I start the music?
I don't think so. I'm honestly kind of excited to try the retranslated mod. I watched a lot of it through a friend on Twitch who was trying it out for the first time, and they were having an absolute blast. So I'm honestly really excited to dive into it again. But thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate you taking the time and having a lovely chat about Kingdom Hearts with me. This has been fun.
Yeah, this has been fun.
Of course, I have to do it again sometime.
You're gonna have to invite us now.
Sure.
Tell you what, I'm gonna start the music. Guides, is there anything? I know we talked a lot about what you do, but is there anything you want to plug?
Yeah, sure. So I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5:30 p.m. Central on Twitch, and every 13th of the month as well. I also have a YouTube channel with. Yep, of course. I also have a YouTube channel with YouTube tutorial videos, mostly for KH1 right now, but we're going to be moving on to Kingdom Hearts 2 pretty soon. And then, of course, yeah, feel free to visit KHGuides.com if you need any help or info about the Kingdom Hearts games. Got guides and walkthroughs there, and we'll have new updates for Kingdom Hearts 2 pretty soon.
That's awesome. I think.
And before we do anything else, KHGuides, did you want to honor us and see if you could come up with a little name for this podcast?
Oh yeah, our little tradition to come up with the title for the episode within the episode.
Oh man, maybe just like title it something like so super clickbaity, like Donald said what?
We got the actual Donald
Watch
Duck.
Must watch.
Yeah, just super clickbaity. That would be fun.
Oh well, this has genuinely been. This has been one of the most fun hours that I've had.
Oh boy,
it's been a pleasure having you guys. We are gonna have to do this again sometime, but in the meantime, go into the description, check out everything that Guides does. We have our Discord as well, so if you want to join the fan Discord, that's there. Feel free to like and subscribe. I don't do that often, but, fuck it.
Let's back up to 100, please. We need it.
Anyway, take care, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.